Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's virtual plant clinic. My name is Bill Lester. I'm with University of Florida Extension Service here in Hernando County, Florida, and I'm here today with my regular co-host, Lily Browning, who is the Hernando County Florida Friendly Landscape Coordinator. And we actually found a Thursday morning at 10 a.m.
that
when
were
we're both
both
in
available.
town, available, and together here online. So it doesn't happen very often anymore,
Not
does it?
anymore. Since things are opening up more, we have found ourselves busier. And I'm even finding I'm not able to keep up the once, every single week with classes on Wednesday because other things are filling that time. But I'm committed to at least twice a month or more. So, but also if I have a rain barrel workshop on a Tuesday, and or a library class that afternoon. I'm also not pushing myself to get that because it's not just appearing for an hour on Wednesday. It's the prep time, for those classes, and we can only do what we can do, huh?
Yeah, it's the prep time and then a lot of times driving time, travel time,
Well, I
and
mean,
getting
even
set
for
up.
yeah, for the Zoom classes, yeah, and but
Hmm.
driving other places, yeah, that eats into time for doing the Zoom classes. I'm not going to stop them. But I have found I need to, now that the world is opening up more and we're going out and about more and doing more things in person, I found I need to schedule things a little bit better because sometimes I'm making those Zoom classes in the evening at home. Because that's the only time I can carve out. So, but I enjoy them. They're really like, researching and then putting together the PowerPoint is the favorite thing that I do. So,
Yeah, and we've gone back to a lot of trainings, conferences, meetings, things like that. And
yeah,
now they want to have them in person,
right,
like at the other end of the state. And it's
right.
like, okay, well, it's only a 3 hour meeting, but it's a 4 hour drive there and 4 hours back. And you start doing the math. And
Yeah, there's one they want us to go to in Apopka, but I'm going to be on vacation that week. But you and I had discussed that. It's what, 12 to 4:30 in person, and they want
yeah,
us to leave Apopka at 4:30. Oh my
well,
God!
that's a bad time to leave a
Yeah,
pop and try driving home, try driving
yes,
anywhere.
yes. Good morning, buddy. Good morning, Cindy.
Okay, we have people popping on here. We have regulars. Guys, if y'all have any lawn and garden questions or anything at all, just feel free to put them in the comments and we'll show them. But I got an email the other day, so I have a question on here.
You do.
Here, let
Good
me go
morning, morning.
ahead and read this. This is from Kamika, and Kamika has been watching our weekly plant clinic, and she says, "Hello, Dr. Lester. I'm trying to grow some okra, Swiss chard, and pepper, and notice some discoloration on the leaves. I was hoping you might be able to help me in the weekly plant clinic. Unfortunately, I will not be able to attend live because I work at that time, but we'll definitely watch the recording if addressed." So we're going to address that a little bit now. So hopefully you're going to watch the recording. If you have already addressed these, please kindly direct me to the episode. So, we probably talked about this before, but I have no idea what episode it would be, and it would take me all day to
Yes.
find it, I think. So Kamika is trying to grow okra, Swiss chard, and pepper. And I assume that some kind of green peppers, hot peppers, doesn't really matter. They all do really, really well here. So all three of those crops are going to grow really well here in Central Florida. The problem is we don't grow all of them at the same time of year. Right now, figuring this is, let me look here. Today is May 5th. Hey, today is Cinco de Mayo. Today's May 5th.
Ooh, yeah.
And we are going into basically summer. So forget spring, we're summer bound, basically.
So her okra is still going to hold up okay.
Yes, now is a very, very good time to plant okra. So if you have okra seeds, plant them, have them come up. Okra grows great in the heat of summer. It's going to grow like a weed. And in a month or two, something like that, it's going to flower and you're going to get okra off it. So this is a perfect time of year to grow okra. Peppers. Hopefully you either started your peppers a few months ago from seed or you bought the transplants. Your peppers should be growing in your garden right now, and they should be big enough where either you're picking peppers or you're going to be picking them soon. So either you're getting the beginning of your harvest, you're in harvest, or your harvest is coming up soon, because right now is good pepper time of year, but it's not going to last forever.
So
When
they
it
should
gets
be,
really hot, June, July, and August, you're not going to have a whole lot of peppers.
they should be picking a peck of pickled peppers.
Something like that. I'm not really sure how many peppers are in a peck either. A peck is
I don't know either. And how they get pickled on the vine is beyond me too.
yeah, a peck is a weird measurement. So
We have to look that up. What's a peck? Do you have the pictures that she sent you?
did she send pictures? Because they're not in the email that I opened up here. My email threads things and loses pictures.
Yes, there. You
Very
sent me
easily.
pictures. Is that the one with the leaf miner that you sent me?
Could be.
You just sent them.
Oh, okay. No, they're here.
Yes.
No, like I said, my email threads things kind of unusually. So, okay. Yeah, I got the pictures here. Oh, very easy to tell what it is from the pictures.
That's why I answered.
Good pictures too.
Yeah, I answered your email. I said it's a minor issue.
Okay. I was wondering why you were saying that, but let me see if I can pull this up easily. No. I have to open email here also. So this will take me just a moment. So Lily, do you have anything that you'd like to share?
I'm not sure. Now you put me on the spot while you're finding your email, huh? I just finished, I think, my 76th YouTube class. If you missed it yesterday, it was Deterring Nuisance Wildlife. That was what its name was supposed to be. I realized I put on the cover just Deterring Wildlife, and I'm like, well, that doesn't sound very Florida friendly, does it? But I think we had a nice discussion. Carol was there and Buddy was there. Linda from Lake Lindsay, if you're watching, go back to Hernando County Government YouTube. It's already up. Watch it because I made it for you. There's a whole lot where I talk about deer and how to basically in my discussion with how to deter wildlife, it was all about habitat modification because that's really the easiest way, and exclusion. And there's also a list of plants on there that deer don't like as much. But as I said on there too, I don't like Brussels sprouts. I'm not going to eat Brussels sprouts. But if I haven't eaten in a week, I bet you I'm going to eat Brussels sprouts. So you have to, you're going to.
I like Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, you're going to have to take that into consideration. There are plants they don't like as much. But watch the program. I think it, we talk about sacrificial plants and we talk about just wildlife in general, but specifically deer, coyote, rats, and armadillo. We cover them because I had an armadillo in my yard, or evidence of an armadillo, so I thought it was a good time to bring that up. So what do you have? You've got your pictures.
Yes, I got the pictures here. So this is a picture of one of her peppers. I'm not sure if it's a hot pepper or sweet pepper. Doesn't really matter. It looks like a bacterial leaf spot, although it might be a fungus. You can't tell the species just from a picture from looking at it. Mm-hmm. So that has a leaf spot and her peppers are going to need a fungicide spray probably. If you use a copper fungicide, that helps if it's a fungus. It also helps if it's a bacteria. So it's going to help both. Let me go through the next picture here, and this is an okra leaf, and that has leaf miner on it. Leaf miners are tiny little insects that drill into a leaf. The female, it's a fly, so female fly lays the eggs in the leaf, and they tunnel around through the inside of the leaf and damage it like this. That's not terrible damage. If you have a lot of it, you're going to have to probably spray it with something, but just a leaf or two is pretty normal. And the next picture here is the Swiss chard. And Swiss chard,
Also,
that's a really good leaf miner picture there.
mhm. So they're so small, they tunnel between the layers of the leaves and
Yep.
leave those squiggly lines there. And really, I don't know of any time that's really recommended to treat for those. They used to be on citrus quite a bit,
Mm-hmm.
and it's considered a cosmetic problem.
Yeah, for leaf miners now you can treat. You want to use a product that contains spinosad, SPINOSAD. I'll even put that in the comments here.
Did you notice the email I answered for you while you were on vacation about
Yes, thank you.
Somebody had lubber grasshoppers, and I suggested, basically no control for the older ones, but that Dr. Lester often suggests spinosad. But I said that use that if brushing them into a bucket or a cup of soapy water isn't effective for you. See, the original email we got was there's a resident here who says there are these insects destroying her entire landscape, or grasshoppers. So I asked for a picture and she sent them. They were obviously lubber grasshoppers. But why she said they were destroying her entire landscape is because she had a whole lot of amaryllis. And that's just one of their favorites. They love bulbs. But
And people make the mistake of they walk outside, they have amaryllis, and they see a bunch of grasshoppers on it. So now they blame every problem in their entire yard on the grasshoppers. So some people would blame the damage you see on this Swiss chard on the grasshoppers. And
yeah.
everything that's wrong out there. It's the grasshoppers killing my entire landscape. And that is just not true. I have lubber grasshoppers in my yard. They do not damage anything. I don't know what they eat.
I have a amaryllis one that was given to me as a gift, and I've seen them on it, and I would pick the babies off. I actually used a 32-ounce plastic cup that you get at fast food or whatever, so it had a lid, and I filled it up with soapy water. So then I brushed them in there and put the lid on it. That was easier than handling a whole bucket.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see where it has been chewed upon, but I only have one, and it's not destroyed. It's just a little tasted. I'm sure it will come back just fine.
Yeah, people really overestimate the damage that lubber grasshoppers do.
It's funny because that is one of those things that you hear, not a big deal, or they are a biblical type plague. It's like there's nothing in between. And yeah, you and I both experience, we have them around and they just they don't destroy your entire landscape. Again, that's if you rely totally on one type of plant and an insect that prefers that plant comes around, of course, it'll feel like your entire landscape has been destroyed. That's where you got to get a diverse amount of plants, different types. Same thing goes for our friend the lawn, huh? There's a question up there about a palm tree. Do you see that?
Yes, but one final thought with Kamika's vegetables that she's growing right now. Okra right now is a fine time of year to plant that or have it growing. She obviously does. Hopefully it'll do well. Peppers, it looks like her peppers are up and growing. They should do well. Swiss chard grows generally during the winter. It's
Yeah.
starting to get too hot for it. And the Swiss chard, even though it looks pretty good right now, except for a little bit of leaf miner damage, it will decline the hotter it gets. So here, it's very, very important, depending on exactly where you live, to plant the correct vegetables at the correct time of year. Because here you can grow something pretty much year round. It's just certain
Correct.
things grow in the winter, other things grow in the summer. You have to get your timing down correct. Otherwise, you're going to have problems.
I have another answer for you. A peck is an imperial and U.S. customary unit of dry volume equivalent to 2 gallons or 8 dry quarts or 16 dry pints.
Oh, I never knew that. That must be for dried peppers.
Yeah. 2 pecks make a kenning,
Oh, I never heard of that.
and 4 pecks make a bushel. So he picked a quarter bushel of pickled peppers, and he didn't pick them off the vine. He picked them up somewhere else. So they're already dried out and pickled. Now we have solved that. So we know what Peter did now.
Exactly. Now, Carol is asking a question, and Carol, I got your email, but I did not get the attachment with it. But looks like Carol has a palm tree behind their house that's in the common area. They live in a community with an HOA that has another tree growing around it. Have you seen this before, and will it do damage to the palm? If you want to try sending that picture again, like I said, I got your email, but I didn't get the picture attached on it. And I checked both emails. And
Question to have we seen that before? Sure. It's not that uncommon in Florida. Like palms and oaks like to marry each other. There's one in St. Augustine, you know, right by that, what is it, the Senator? Like one of the biggest oak trees. It's amazing. It's tremendously huge that it is still that huge because there's asphalt all around it. But in that same parking lot, there is an oak tree and a palm tree kind of intermingled together. And they have it there like a novelty, but it's not that unusual to run across.
yeah.
And I think they do okay. They seem to have
Sure.
some kind of,
As they grow together, they both adapt to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never seen 2 trees coming up really close to each other where one kills the other one or it damages a palm, depending on what the other tree is. Obviously, if it's just a sprout or a seedling or a weed and it's only waist high, it could be chopped down by somebody. If it's larger, it looks interesting.
Yeah.
I've never seen it damage the palm tree or the other tree, really.
Mm-mm. And maybe because they are 2 different species. A palm is not a tree, it's a grass. But I mean, they are going to compete for water and nutrients and things, but obviously they have worked that out in a lot of situations. So.
Mm-hmm.
And the palm tends to be the one to twist and bend and turn. Yeah.
They'll do fine.
Yeah.
So here's one for you, because this is a difficult one. Cindy asked, my amaryllis bloom like crazy this year. No grasshoppers, but I have these tiny snails, really tiny. They're in my potted plants and on my pots.
Well, I was going to refer that to you because for many, 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 many years now, I have those tiny snails in my entire lawn and everywhere.
So do I.
And so I've been meaning to ask you What is that and what is it about? Obviously,
If you look, do you have spots in your lawn where it's just like little shells cover the soil
sure.
surface?
Yeah.
So do I.
Mm-hmm.
It's
They're little
snails,
round snails. Yeah.
and there's snails in Florida.
But yeah, millions of itsy bitsy tiny ones.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, they
You-
aren't causing too terrible problems.
I've never seen them damage my plants. I know that they will crawl on weeds and this and that and
Hmm.
chew on them, but I've never noticed any really noticeable damage.
They're mostly in my lawn and like up around my crepe myrtle, which is in my lawn. And
Yeah.
I don't see them as much in the plant beds, which have richer soil because of all the plants that died there and the mulch and stuff that I put there.
So here's one for you. Does society garlic attract bees or butterflies?
Probably. I know. Bees mostly. I don't know that it's never on the list of, high pollinator attractors, but maybe somebody who has some can answer whether they see them or not. I mean, it's certainly not harmful, and I don't see why it wouldn't, other than maybe the garlic-like smell that it has. But that's a good question. I'm gonna have to research that one.
It flowers and
Mm-hmm.
it will attract bees and will attract butterflies.
I never see it on a list to say add to your butterfly garden, but and it's not a native. But I don't. I mean, I don't see where it would be harmful with other flowers that you have.
Okay, here's a picture of that tree situation. So if you see there is a tree
Oh,
intermingled with a palm, and if you go down, this is the base of the tree. The tree is growing out of the palm.
that is pretty cool. Though, what I would do, depending on where it's located, because it doesn't look like it's far from buildings or anything, is get a certified arborist out and get their opinion. So far, it looks like they're both healthy and happy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you are really concerned, I would get a certified arborist out to your yard. They can just evaluate it for you. And you can find one by going to treesaregood.com. Is that it, Bill?
Yes, that's it.
Yep. And that will take you to the International Society of Arboriculture. And believe it or not, they have a search engine you can put in your zip code and say within 25 miles, something like that, and you will get a list of arborists in our area. Don't have just a tree company come. Make sure you get a certified arborist and get their opinion on it.
Yeah, because a lot of tree services will cut down trees, but they don't know much about diagnosing tree problems, telling you if a tree is safe or not. You really have to get a certified arborist for that. But this, obviously, the tree component here is growing like crazy and has gotten very large in this palm. This happens because birds fly around and they eat berries and they sit in your palm tree and they poop. And if it goes down between where the boot or the trimmed off stump from an old leaf is and the trunk, it'll get wedged in there and there's enough organic matter that it'll sprout and grow. I've had things sprout and grow out of my palm tree. Nothing, I've never seen anything this large. This is pretty impressive.
Can we tell what kind of tree that is, though?
From the leaves, I was thinking bottle brush, but I'm not
Oh,
really sure.
because that's the only concern I would have is that it's an invasive exotic that, like a Chinese tallow or something that you would want to get rid of anyway.
Sure.
Yeah. But the arborist can tell you that as well.
Yeah, she asked, do you know what the second tree is? I'm not really sure from the picture.
It's too hard to tell from the picture.
possibly bottle brush.
If you can get a close up of some of the leaves, that might be able to help us.
Okay, we're getting the technology rolling today.
Yeah.
So,
see, somebody else saw what I was talking about in St. Augustine. And usually you'll see it out in the wild as well.
mm-hmm.
And they call them love
Yeah.
trees and all these kind of things. So they wrap all around in each other.
Yeah, I have a Sylvester palm, and it has a invasive lantana growing out of the trunk because a bird ate the berry somewhere else and sat in my palm tree and pooped, and it sprouted and it grew. I need to go out there and prune it out.
Mm-hmm. You showed that to me like 3 years ago. Are you going to
Yeah.
do anything about that?
No, it hasn't gone anywhere. So
yeah, but
do
more
something
birds
about
are eating the berries in the lantana, Dr. Lester, spreading them around more.
around the edge of every empty lot in my neighborhood is packed full of lantana.
Yeah, from that one plant in your palm.
Chinaberry and
that's what I'm trying to
tree.
That's what I was thinking of, that was concerned might be in that palm, is Chinaberry.
Could be.
If we can get a bigger picture. I mean, a close-up of the leaves.
So if anybody has any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. I was here all by myself last week and answered a bunch of questions.
You want to know what I did later? I watched your whole program. How sad is my life now?
Well, it was only half an hour.
Yeah, yes. I was involved with children, and you can see you can see some of it on my Facebook page. It was Take Your Child to Work Day. So in the morning, we had like 17 kids here and their parents. So I talked to them about water conservation, imagine that, and springs protection. And then that's the fun part. The program I showed them, I had them redo like a Zoom class. So you have the kids who wanted to participate kind of reading each slide. I sent that to John Cancel, who's in our public information office. He's the one who does all the magic with the Zoom classes. Of course, it's taking him it's taking him longer to edit this one than it did. Normally, I send him a class, all he has to do is put on an intro and outro, and he's done.
Yeah.
Because I kept switching kids in the seats, there's a lot of editing he's going to have to do, because I just kept it rolling. That was easier than sending him 45 little tiny pieces of footage. I just kept it rolling so he can edit it. He says it's going to be done today. And if it is, that'll be up, go directly to YouTube, and then I'll share the link on Facebook. But I think that's going to be a lot of fun to see the kids talking about this water conservation and springs protection. And we also watched the video Water's Journey. Found it right off of YouTube now, so that was easy. I suggest everyone go to YouTube and watch Water's Journey for Florida. It comes in 3 parts, but they're each 10-minute parts, so it'll only take a half hour out of your life. And then we went to one of our wastewater treatment plants, and had a tour of, well, you know what, with the wastewater, and then how it gets cleaned up and then sent back into the ground for the groundwater. So, it was a pretty fun day. And then in the afternoon, the kids got to be with their parent or grandparent, for their specific job.
And then you took nap time.
No, I didn't get to do nap time.
Oh.
I took them downstairs, asked my grandson to count rain barrels for me, and I went and did something else. I was gone less than a minute, and he told me 109. I was like, "Oh, you had time to count them?" And he's like, "Well, because they're in skits, and there was 33, 33, and 34, and you have 9 loose ones. That's 109." And I was like, "Okay." I don't do math obviously as well as the 14-year-old. And then I mentioned I have 100 more coming in. He goes, "Then you'll have 209." And I'm like, "Yeah, I can do that much. Thank you." And as of now, as of yesterday, I do have 209. So we had a
Okay, we got a question here from Monique. She says, I have some amaryllis whose leaves have not died back, like as of during last winter, and they are in the way of a shrub leafing out properly. Can I just cut them back? You can. It's not going to kill it.
hmm Maybe you can get that lady's blubber grasshoppers to do it for
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Just watch out for those big, horrible grasshoppers because they'll eat your amaryllis and apparently everything else in your yard also.
I'm not sure
But-
how far back from the bulb you should cut them. I would leave a few inches, I would think.
Pretty
'Cause
short.
you have to leave some leaf material, don't you?
You can to help nourish the bulb, get the bulb to get bigger and make and divide and make more and more bulbs. But if you trim those leaves off shortly after it flowers in the spring, the bulb's going to be okay. And a lot of times those leaves get eaten by grasshoppers. We've already established that. And they get a disease, the kind of pink spots on them.
Yeah.
It's a rust, amaryllis rust, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times the leaves look really bad, unsightly. So cutting them back, it's not really going to hurt anything. You can.
I've known a lot of people who just leave them leafy, throughout the whole summer, and then they
Sure, but most people you just leave them. If it gets amaryllis rust, you don't worry about it. When fall and winter comes, the leaves are going to die. It's going to disappear. In the spring, it shoots up, ideally, the stalks and the flowers. And they're if you do nothing to your amaryllis, they'll be fine. They don't need a whole lot of fertilizing or watering or trimming or anything else.
Yeah, the only thing you don't want to do is completely bury the bulb.
Yeah, the bulbs have to be, they say, shoulder high. So at least a third of the bulb has to be up above the ground. And Monique has controlled the grasshoppers pretty well. Maybe
she utilizes your technique.
Sure, I control them just fine. I throw them over the fence into the neighbor's yard. Although I really don't bother throwing them anywhere now. I see them and I just leave them.
Mm-hmm. That's good to know.
Yeah, if they're not bothering anything, I don't have the time or the desire.
Not flinging insects at your neighbors. That's a good thing.
So like I tell people, you can't sanitize the great outdoors. I can't get rid of all the grasshoppers and mice and rats and lizards and everything else. You can't sanitize the great outdoors.
In my class I did yesterday about deterring nuisance wildlife, I started out telling them I was not going to tell them how to get rid of snakes. And I watched one person just disappear out of the class. But, that's the saying, if there was a 6-foot diamondback rattler at my front door, I'm probably going to fetch my husband, who's probably going to dispatch of said rattler. But in general, snakes in the yard, we have a black snake who's been at my front door, or the back door, or wherever. We scurry our separate directions and live our own lives just fine. And I would much rather, first of all, a non-venomous snake is going to take up a niche. You would not want a venomous snake there doing. Second of all, prefer them to rats any day of the week.
Yeah. And going back to the amaryllis, Cindy said that after they bloomed, she collected the seeds. I've done that before also.
I didn't realize there were
flowers. Will usually, when all the petals come off, it makes a large structure on the end. And if you let it kind of mature and dry out, if you rip it open, they're fairly large black seeds.
Huh, cool.
And to the best of my knowledge, they're viable. You can plant them; it should come up.
That's
Amaryllis.
probably how the person who gave me the one I have, propagated it. Now that you say that.
Mm-hmm. So, staying on our favorite topic of grasshoppers.
Oh, no, she would leave the leaves there if they weren't in the way of her.
Oh,
shirt.
yeah. And Monique says that when they get big, I
You
can't kill
can't
them.
kill those grasshoppers. You can mechanically, and that means by some sort of physical force.
Or toss them over the fence.
Your foot. We've had master gardeners utilize whatever gardening tools were in their hands, whether that be clippers. I'm not that. I'm just going to let them go and do their thing, Maybe a lawnmower or a car on the big ones. Seed pods, okay.
And yeah, Cindy says with the amaryllis, they're seed pods. They do make seed pods.
But
And
Monique has
I've never tried planting the seeds, but they should germinate and come up.
And Monique has a very good point about that she can't kill the big ones. Don't even try with a pesticide to kill those big armored guys. It's just not going to work. It's going to waste. You're going to put pesticide out in the environment for no reason. They're pretty armored up.
Yeah, especially if you have, a limited number of lover grasshoppers in your yard, and you think, oh, well, I have to go out there and just spray the entire yard with something to kill them. Basically, you're going to screw up so much in your yard, you'll wish that your problem was just a couple of lover grasshoppers.
Right. It's just part of living in Florida. They like to hang out on screens and screen porches and look in at you. That is one of their favorite things, which makes really cool close-up pictures to freak people out if you want to do that. Off with their heads. There you go, Jenny. That was some of their master gardener attitudes too.
Okay, let me share a picture here going back to that palm tree and the tree growing in it. We got some close-up pictures.
I think you're right with the bottle brush. Or oleander.
Hard to say. I'm trying to get a good look at the leaf.
Yeah, it's spatulate, it looks like.
I really can't say for sure.
Yeah.
And Carol, where do you live? Like, where in Florida do you live?
That might help.
Yeah.
Because if she's on the East Coast or in Broward or Brevard or something, I'm going to go with oleander. Because there's so many of them there. Point Sienna.
Oh, she lives in Point Sienna. Yeah, I can't say for sure.
Yeah, you've got so many. You've got a different world down there.
Yeah. In South Florida, there's so many more plants that grow there that wouldn't be an option here because they would normally freeze and die in the winter.
I had a relative who spent about a year living in Naples who would occasionally send me just a, what's this? And she thought I was, being unhelpful. And I'm like, you really just live in a totally different world than I do. But
I get that too.
Yeah, I would come up once she sent one. And it's funny because my first thoughts are usually correct until I second guess them. So she thought a picture and I'm like, I just answered her because I was busy. I'm like, I don't know. Cocoa plum, I don't know. Then I looked it up later. I'm like, whoa, I was right. So she may have an oleander or maybe some other kind of South Florida plant that we're not aware of off the top of our head. maybe if you have the pictures, you can send them on further than you to find out.
Yeah, I'll try sending him in today to see if he
Mhm.
has a general idea of what they are.
Sending them to the herbarium at the University of Florida.
Lily, we have a question here for you from Lee.
No, it's not.
And I
You're
generally
the
don't
edible
give
person.
tea or eating weeds or eating wild plants kind of recommendations unless I know for sure
Right,
what
unless
it
it
is
is
and that
an
it's safe.
edible product, like a tomato or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dragon.
I know fruits and vegetables.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, we can't really answer that. I don't even know the leaf of life. Haven't even heard of that, so I'm not comfortable answering it. Yeah, especially telling someone to ingest something. And Bill is not that kind of doctor.
Yeah, I generally don't make those recommendations. And when it comes to mushrooms, don't go outside and pick and eat the mushrooms. You could do it up north because they only have a few mushrooms that grow up there. Down here, there's so many different ones. Don't go out and pick wild mushrooms and eat them. And
If
if
you
you
do, we might
do,
not hear from you for a while.
yeah. So I will not tell you that any of them are safe because they're so difficult to identify because there's so many of them that grow here in Florida. Up north, and I've talked to people who live like Wisconsin and Michigan and northern states. You can go out and do it safely up there if you know how to identify them. If you have a book, a mushroom book to go by, here there's just too many of them, and they look very, very similar.
Hmm. They say if you take the cap of one and put it on a white piece of paper and come back the next day, and if the spores that came out are green, then it's poisonous. But I wouldn't go by any of that. Like Bill
Nope.
always says, if it's shrink wrapped in Publix or Winn-Dixie, he'll buy it and he'll eat it.
I love mushrooms, and I buy them at grocery stores.
Yes.
Oh, Cindy makes a good point. She doesn't eat the mushrooms, but they are beautiful to photograph. We have a lot of very, very
Yes.
colorful, intricate ones here in Florida.
Hmm. That is a very good idea. Now I'm going to have that in mind. Last fall I was in Tennessee, and they had they looked exactly like, they draw in the children's books with the red head and everything. So I was literally on the ground, getting a nice picture of that mushroom. Luckily, it was a hill, so it wasn't as hard to get back up off the ground. So now I have a camera with a major zoom, so I don't have, which is good for middle-aged ladies. Alice Hurden, the photographer, and she taught me, stop crawling all over the ground, use your screen, use your zoom, and you can get the nice pictures too.
Well, if you get on the ground and turn upside down, you can get pictures from underneath the mushroom.
Oh man, now I want to do that. I'm gonna be getting dirty soon. That would be really cool, what you could get.
Okay, let's throw some tickers and websites and graphics and emails up here. As always, if you'd like to find out about our upcoming activities and classes, if you go to Hernando Extension, alloneword.com, that's a listing of all of our upcoming classes. I have one coming up in about a month on dragon fruit. So we have another edibles class, and if you sign up for it, there is a $20 charge, but you can come by and pick up 3 little dragon fruit plants to grow in your yard. It's the yellow dragon fruit. So obviously, to sign up for that class, if you want the dragon fruit, you have to come here. And I am in Hernando County. And Hernando County is far away from like Miami and Jacksonville and Tallahassee. So keep that in mind. But we still have most of our classes are online. Most of them are through Zoom. We need to do more Facebook Live. We haven't done hardly any Facebook Live in forever.
Yeah, well, you have to go ahead and do that.
Okay.
I'm looking at my classes because I got a question right before we started from your master gardener, Diana,
hmm
the newer one, not the older one, as far as time in master gardening goes. Asking if we're going to do any micro irrigation classes. We do.
I have one. I have one recorded. We did last year, I think.
Oh, maybe you
The
should.
micro irrigation for vegetable gardens.
Okay. Well, we have you and I on May 25th getting to know your irrigation system. You remember that? Don't get that blank face there. I need you with this one.
It's on my schedule.
Okay. We can discuss micro irrigation within that program, but maybe it's something you want to think about doing a hands-on workshop or something for. But send Diana Easter the link to the one that you referred to.
Yeah, because we do have that class that we did before that was recorded. And I'll have that link handy for the next irrigation class, and we can share that.
Cool. Yes, yeah, I can't fake that one as much without you, Bill. So you better be there for the irrigation one. So, and
irrigation's a little confusing. The most confusing part is some of the mechanical components, like the timer box. The newer ones are very intricate. I mean, you can set up 6 different programs and push a button, and this is going to be the spring program, the winter program. They're very, very adjustable, but you have to actually spend a little bit of time with the direction book and pushing the buttons. They're not difficult if you have the directions. The directions are all online. Just follow the directions step by step. They're not difficult. But some of the mechanics, like the wiring and the solenoids, confuse me a little bit. So I'm not an expert on that.
Yeah. So next week I won't have a Zoom class because I'll be in person at the Spring Hill Library teaching landscape care when it's hot and dry. I'll do the same thing on the 18th, the same class, because it'll be pretty hot and dry by then. No, it won't, because I promise you it's going to rain that day. When I teach a very specific class like that, the weather does the opposite of whatever I'm talking about. But then you and I will have the irrigation class on the 25th. So hopefully that'll help some folks. So, and what you said, you have dragon fruit coming up?
Yes, I do. I have dragon fruit coming up at the end of the month, and that is going to be on May 31st, the very last day of the month.
Okay.
And we have information all over Facebook about that. And Bassem, thank you so much. Really appreciate all the kind comments, and we appreciate the emails during the week. So if you're watching a recording of this, please feel free to shoot us an email. And if you send pictures and we're able to open them, we can show it, live here on Thursday morning and talk about it. And then when you get home from work Thursday night, you can sit down and watch the recording of the virtual plant clinic, because it's saved on Facebook and our Facebook group and on YouTube. And also
last Thursday
night. As a podcast. So we're all over the place.
Yes. I haven't gone to the actual podcast program, but I treat this sometimes like a podcast, in that if I just turn it on my phone and I'm driving, the speaker from my car picks it up, so I just listen to it, and seems like a podcast that way.
Do we sound smart?
I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to tell, but
Some days,
too close to the situation. So,
some days maybe, other days not so much.
yes. Sounds like we're having fun. I can tell you that. So,
Well, that's good. Because if it wasn't fun, we've been doing this for over 2 years. We wouldn't be doing it anymore. But
yes, quite true.
and we try to never miss a Thursday, but every once in a while, just unavoidable. So
Yep. You had an unavoidable appointment with the beach last week, didn't you? No.
yes,
Don't think that way.
yes, I was on vacation up in the Panhandle. If Buddy's on, we stayed up in Carabel, which is a beautiful area, beautiful part of the Panhandle, maybe 20 miles away from the city or the town of Apalachicola.
Cool.
And we went there. We drove there on a Sunday though, and pretty much everything is closed on Sunday. But we went to St. George Island on Tuesday, and that was beautiful.
Sounds nice. I haven't spent any time in the Panhandle, except, I mean, I've been to Tallahassee numerous times, but other than that, driving through it to go to New Orleans was the only time I've been in the Panhandle. So I do need to make that a priority.
Driving down I-10, long drive.
Yeah.
But yes, Buddy, it was on the beach, beachfront, right on the water.
Mm-hmm.
And we have people who have been attending since the early days, whenever possible. Gosh, you've been doing it for a long time when we start referring to it as the early days.
The early days when COVID forced us to learn more about technology. So I hear so much about Destin.
So do I. It's supposed to have some of the most beautiful beaches in the country, if not the world. Destin's a little bit further than what we went. And we were maybe a bit less than 100 miles to Panama City Beach, where we were.
Last Thursday also, which you missed because you had transportation issues, you said that this particular meeting we have, because we're both part of a group called Groundwater Guardians. But
Yeah.
I did hear, I'll share with you some interesting things we learned from the Southwest Florida Water Management District. And this one gentleman he switched jobs and now he's an engineer, but I don't remember his exact title, but he's kind of in charge of seagrass health, around the state.
Mhm.
And so what we learned was the seagrass is in tremendously good health on the Nature Coast, where we live here. And part of that is because of geography. And, it's just all open, shallow Gulf out there. Also, due to the Gulf Stream, it shoots the blue-green algae and the red tide away from Hernando County so far. So we haven't been affected by it. It's pretty close and then shoots out into the open ocean. So that has saved us tremendously. We had he said 576,000 acres of seagrass out there, which is really good to know. But also the way they map it, it just maps total seagrass. And so that's what's in that acreage. But when you break it down further, then it breaks it down. It's changed consistency. We still have that much, but it's changed in that not all of it is full stands of seagrass. There's other quote, quote stuff in it, like coral and other sea items in it. And so my mind transferred that to there are weeds, in the seagrass.
Yeah.
And they don't know whether that's good, bad, indifferent, or, the change in the way things go. Down around Sarasota, Lee County, Collier County, not quite as good, news down there at all. And of course, across the state in Indian River. I was in Brevard County this past weekend, went away I didn't go as long as you did, but just a short weekend. And I kept thinking about that, the Indian River Lagoon.
Yeah.
They're just not doing well at all. And again, that part of that is not only the inputs from humans, all the nitrates being thrown in there with the red tide and everything, and all the fertilizers and all the leaky septic tanks, but because, the word lagoon, and the water can sit there for a month, does not get flushed out quickly. So it sits there and festers, just naturally. And they're in pretty bad shape as far as their seagrass goes. So why is that important? That's important for so many reasons, for the manatees, and for many, many, scallops and oysters and so many, it's an estuary. It's where, it's the nursery of the sea. So that was very interesting to learn that information.
Yeah, and as more people move to Florida, as more of a move to this area, it puts more pressure on coastal resources. And if people don't start, changing their ways and changing their habits, as things get worse, they're only going to pass more and more regulations.
Mhm.
Like I ask you, they're not going to change and give you more days to water. They're going to give you fewer days to water, till it gets to the point where they say you can't water your lawn at all, either temporarily or forever.
Yeah.
So we're heading in that direction. You need to realize that, start making changes now, so that if that happens, it's not going to have a huge impact on you. If you're in the habit of putting down 100 pounds of fertilizer on your St. Augustine lawn, you need to get away from that, guys, because you're not going to be allowed to do that much longer.
Yep, it's not a sustainable thing. It goes back to right plant, right place. If you can have a lawn and you are not imposing all those inputs, all that extra water and chemicals, fantastic, let it be. But 80% of the lawns out there are not in that situation.
Yeah, and Cindy mentions that down there, they're putting clams in the water. I saw that on the news a week or 2 or 3 ago.
Me too.
Because they are filter feeders. They help to filter the water. That helps seagrass and manatees in the long run.
Yep,
So they are taking steps between clams, and oysters help also.
Yep.
Yeah, Cindy says this in Tampa Bay, because I was watching the Tampa Bay morning news.
I did see that too.
Yeah.
That we all three saw that. Yes.
So there's a million steps that we can take. One of them is following Florida-friendly landscaping and trying to limit and target your fertilizer use, your pesticide use. Pick things that are going to do well here. If you grew something you really loved up in Michigan, maybe you can't grow it here. I'm sorry, I don't make those rules. It is what it is. So you have to realize it. You can't grow the what do they grow up there? Cherry trees and elms, beeches.
Yeah.
Yeah, no beech tree. So no Kentucky bluegrass or tall fescue lawn. Sorry, not going to work down here.
Yep. No peonies or tulips or pussy willow
or forsythias.
Oh, there you go.
There are no forsythias doing well in Central Florida. Really, I wonder how far south they grow.
I have to look that up. I'm thinking maybe North Carolina, maybe in the mountain area.
Yeah, I'm thinking Carolinas. We had one when I was a kid in Maryland, right outside of Washington, D.C. It was beautiful. Beautiful. Bloom in the spring. It'd be covered with yellow flowers.
Mm-hmm.
But not going to grow well down here.
Yeah.
So you need to be realistic.
But we have plenty of beautiful things that do grow.
Sure, you can grow crotons and tropical things and palm trees and dragon fruit.
Right.
It is a flowering and fruiting cactus that makes tasty fruits. So can't grow that up in the Carolinas or up in Maryland or Pennsylvania.
Maybe in a greenhouse, but not, yeah, not
Maybe in your bathroom if you keep the heat up during the winter.
keep it nice and humid.
There you go. Okay, I don't see any other questions here. Oh my gosh. Look at what time it is. It's exactly 11 a.m.
Exactly 11 o'clock. Woo-hoo.
This is called good time management. Every once in a while we use it.
It's called dumb luck.
Yes, it is. So, hey, thank you so much, everybody. I believe that we're both going to be back here next week. I know I am.
Yeah, what is next week? What is today? Today is the 5th, so that makes it, what, the 12th or something? Yeah, I'll be here.
Yeah, my schedule gets very thin after today and tomorrow, really, once I play catch up.
Wow, yeah, but it'll fill out. Every time I
Yeah,
look at my
it will.
calendar and I'm like, woo, looks like some breathing time, then the phone starts and then the email starts. Can you
Maybe
do
I
this?
need to just unplug that phone. That would help.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks again, everybody. And please be sure to tune in again next Thursday morning at 10 a.m. because apparently we're both going to be back. And I may even invite a guest in next week. I'll see who else is free next Thursday morning to come join us.
I have to think of some fun ideas, someone to invite.
There we go. So thanks again, everybody. See you again next week. Bye.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.